Hello everyone. So for today's lesson, we're going to discuss graphical convolution. No? So reviewin lang natin ano. So in the previous discussion, we have tackled city convolution, also known as the convolution integral. No? So this convolution operation is done when we want to determine the output of an LTI system. So this LTI system, no? So review na natin. So diba, from our signal and system abstraction. So if we have a certain system T, okay, then we have an input signal, ayan, x of t, okay. Then this certain signal alongside the unit impulse function, our Dirac of t. Okay, this Dirac of t, okay, this will yield to a certain output we know as the impulse response, okay, h of t. No, so yan yung relationship nila. Okay, so the main output of the system, okay, is defined by y of t. Ayan, so dito naman si y of t. And this y of t is the result of the convolution of x of t and the impulse response of the system. Okay, so yan yung pinaka gist ng ating convolution integral. This convolution integral, okay, is defined by the formula, the integral of x of tau h of t minus tau d tau evaluated from negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, so this convolution integral is very, very useful, okay, for signals in mathematical function forms. No? So yung mga polynomials, transcendental natin, yung mga sine and cosine, etc. etc. Okay, pinakagamit na gamit sa convolution integral. However, hindi naman lahat ng signals natin are always defined by mathematical functions. No? So there are signals na in the form of piecewise forms or graphical forms. No? So doon naman papasok yung tinatawag natin na graphical convolution. And the graphical convolution is derived from the convolution integral. Okay, meron lang tayong syempre certain steps na gagawin. So ano yung mga steps natin in graphical convolution? So first and foremost, of course, plot the signals in the tau domain. So this is very important because from the name itself, graphical convolution, diba, hindi naman natin makukuha yung sagot kung wala tayong graph. Okay, so plot the signals in the tau domain. Okay, select one signal to serve as your t minus tau. No? Kung babalik tayo dun sa convolution integral natin, yun yung h of t minus tau. No? So either which, okay, either dx of t, the first signal or the second signal, wala namang problema kasi based on the properties of convolution integral, remember that convolution is commutative. No? So pwede natin pagpalitan kung sino yung mag-a-adapt ng t minus tau. Then we're going to perform the indicated time operation, no? C t minus tau. Kasi remember, okay, the signals are now in the tau domain, not in the t domain, no? So kaya ang magiging pinaka time variable natin dito is si tau na hindi na si t. Okay, then pick a value of t along the tau axis, no? So later papakita natin how do we properly pick the value of t. Okay, then plot the t minus tau signal, okay, based on the value of t. Okay, then multiply the signals and find the area, no, after your plot, and repeat steps 2 and 3 for the other values of t. So yun nga sinasabi ko kanina that we are going to have not only one but multiple values of t depending on the nature of the given signals. Okay, so how do we perform these steps in graphical convolution? No? So we have here some examples. So let's perform the convolution on the following integrals. So we have piecewise functions for this case. No? So we have the first signal x of t is equal to a when t is between 0 and 2 and 0 otherwise. Okay, then we have our second signal h of t is a between 0 and 1 and 0 otherwise. No? So let's try to graph muna these functions. So, oops, wait lang. Okay, so wait lang. Isin natin yung graph. Wait lang. Ayan. Okay. So, first we have here our x of tau, x of t, no? So, sabi ko nga kanina, no? So, instead of the time domain, we are going to plot the signal in the tau domain. Okay, so this is tau, this is our x of tau na. Okay, given from the signal x of t. Okay, so we have our fixed value of a between 0 and 2. So parang ang mangyayari dyan is para siyang isang square pulse, no, yung ating signal. Ayan. Okay, so this as an amplitude of a. Okay, please take note of the amplitude. So this is 0 and 2. Ayan. Okay, then we have our second signal. Okay, so we have the same signal na magkaiba lang yung kanyang time interval, no? So medyo mas we can say na medyo mas payat in a way. Okay, papalitan na natin yung color. Sorry. Ayan. Okay, so hindi naman kailangan perfect yung drawing natin, ano, pero dapat syempre maintindihan. Okay. Let's use another color. Okay, let's say this is our A between 0 and 1. No? Otherwise, the signal is 0. Okay, so for the negative time, our negative tau, and our positive tau. Okay, so you're going to select 1. No? So you're going to select 1 between x of tau and h of tau. Kung ano yung gagawin natin t minus tau. No? In this case, I think mas madali kung si h of tau ang gagawin natin. So let's use this for our h of t minus tau. No, let's observe the signal. No, upon changing from h of tau to h of t minus tau, so meron tayong shifting value dito, or rather time operations na involved. No, again, that is time shifting and time folding. Bakit? Kasi remember, our time variable now is tau, not t. So if our time variable is tau, no, so let's rearrange this one. So we have negative tau plus t. Okay, let's factor out our negative, no? So this will become negative tau minus t. So this negative sign, okay, ito, indicates folding. And this minus t indicates time shifting. Ayan, this one indicates time shifting. So, kaya meron tayong step number 2. No? So, plot the t minus tau signal in respect to the value of t. No? So, sige, let's plot the first signal. Okay? So, since wait lang. Sige. Since mayroon na tayong napiling t minus tau, yung natitirang tau natin, hindi nyo na gagalawin yung value. Okay, so let me use two tau axis. Ayan. Okay, so let's use this graph, okay, to properly illustrate the convolution. No? So let's have here our amplitude A. No? So please take note, both of the signals has an amplitude of A, so meaning they are equal in amplitude. No? So first we have here 0, 1, 2, negative 1, say negative 2, ayusin natin. Ayan. Okay, so the original signal x of tau, okay, this is from 0 to 2. Ayan. Okay. Okay. So we have this one. Now, let's perform the shifting and the folding. So anong gagawin natin? Let's first select a value of t. No? So let's say I will be using this dito muna, okay, as my t. Okay, between 0 and 1. Okay, so anong gagawin natin? First, no, so let's fold. 'Di ba? Priority natin sa folding. Okay, then we do the shifting. Okay, so what we're going to do is, since this is from 0 to 1, pag finold natin going over the other side, tama po ba? Okay, so magiging from negative 1 to 0 na siya. Okay, maintaining the time, the time aspect of 1, no? Yung from the, rather the time value of the signal. No? So that's the endpoint minus the start point. So 1 minus 0 is 1. Dapat ganun pa rin yung lalabas. So in this case, okay, so magiging 0 to 1. However, meron tayong shifting na minus t, which is eto yung nilagay natin na t dito sa sagot na, or rather dito sa graph natin na isa. Okay, so i-shift ko siya. Ayan, this one. Again, maintaining the amplitude. Ayan. Okay, now the question is, ano yung last part dito? Okay, so let's check yung mga end values ng signals natin. So we're going to use our t minus tau expression, no? So for t minus tau, we're going to equate it on the both ends of the signal, or rather on all the tawag dito, defining points of the signal. So in this case, that's 0 and 1. So we have t minus tau, so that is 0, meaning t is equal to tau. Okay, so yun yung una natin. Then we have our 1, no? So we have t minus tau is equal to 1. However, remember that we are defining our functions now in terms of tau. Okay, so dapat si tau yung ma-isolate natin. So lipat ko si tau sa kabila, si 1 ililipat ko din. So that's t minus 1 is equal to tau. Okay, these both taus, okay, ito ngayon yung endpoint, yung kanina. Kung naaalala niyo, no, ito, this part, palitan natin ng color green para mas consistent. Yan. So endpoint si t, because that's 0. Okay, then yung 1 naman natin, that's our start point. Ito. Okay, so dun sa shifted value natin, this is now my t minus 1. Naintindihan po? Okay, so we are done with step number 2, no? Yung pick the value of t and plot the t minus tau signal. Okay, next is multiply the signals and find the area. So titingnan natin between t minus 1 and 0, walang overlap. Assuming that we have an amplitude of a, di pala assuming, no? So stating that we have an amplitude of a for this Yan. This has an amplitude of a. This also has an amplitude of a. Okay, so by observing, no, so sabi nga, i-multiply natin yung mga amplitude. Okay, amplitudes ang i-multiply natin dito. So a, that's the amplitude of the green signal. Then ano ang amplitude ng white signal natin before 0? Di ba wala? 0 otherwise siya. So a times 0, so that is 0. Naintindihan po? Okay, so yun yung dito sa part na to, dito sa labas. Now, let's go to the overlap. No, so this central part, ito, nandito yung overlap nung signal natin. So, meaning, okay, we can get the product, okay, of both signals. So that's a times a, so that is a squared. Okay? So if I'm going to plot it here, no, sa baba, okay, ganito yung itsura niya. Ayan. So this is between 0 and t with an amplitude of a squared. Okay? So yan yung nakamultiply ng dito, nakamultiply na amplitude na natin. Now, no, so sabi dito, get the product of the signal and find the area. Let's observe ano yung shape na nabuo nung signal natin. So in this case, okay, so di ba, we know that the area of the rectangle is base times height, or simply length times width. So in this case, our a squared can serve as our base, or rather our height, and our base is the endpoint minus the start point. So t minus 0, so that is t, meaning at this part, okay, we have a squared times t. Okay? When t is between 0 and 1. Yan. Please take note of that. Kasi, sorry. Sorry. Wala pa pala. Mamaya na yung time natin. No? Just take note muna of this amplitude. Now, next, no? So, let's move T a little bit. Okay, so, iusog lang natin siya ng konti. Let me draw, oops, sorry. So, let me draw another signal. Ayan. Okay, so we have here our time graph na, no? So, let's redraw our original signal, yung white signal natin, ano? Kasi siya yung stationary signal natin na hindi gumagalaw. So, 0, 1, 2, negative 1, negative. Okay, so, we have this signal or yung x of tau natin, okay, and our t, no, let's select here any point between 1 and 2, so that's my t. Okay, so I will be just shifting, okay, the signal from here going here. Ayan. Okay, so kung mapapansin natin, na overlap natin yung buong h of t minus tau. Ito. Okay, so sa labas, outside the shaded region, zero na yung product ng dalawang signal natin. No? Kasi wala namang present na h of t. Okay, dun sa labas ng h of t. No? So a times 0 is 0. Okay, din dito, we still have our a times a. No? So let's redraw the signal. Okay, so this is still a squared. However, our time values is now between t and t minus 1. Okay, so using the formula for the area again, so that is a squared, so our base, times t minus 1. Okay, so what will happen, distribute natin sa negative sign, so that is t minus t plus 1. So what happens is t minus t is 0. Tama? Okay, so may iiwan si 1. So therefore, we have a squared as our amplitude, or rather our area. No? So for this condition. Okay, now let's go beyond 2. No? So yun yung pangatlong i-graph natin. So let's go beyond 2. Okay, so oops, wrong color. Ayan. Okay, so we have here our last part, no? So again, we have our stationary signal between 0 and 2. Ayan. Okay, then our t now goes beyond 2, no, dun sa signal natin. Okay, so then of course, okay, nandito yan. So this is our t minus 1. Okay, then let us multiply the signals. No? So, dito sa part na to, ang mamumultiply na lang natin is this region. Okay, and again, we still have the same amplitude of A. Okay, so game. No, so let's redraw the signal dito sa baba para mas clear yung image natin. Ayan. So again, this is between 2 and t minus 1. Sir, bakit hindi na natin binilang si t? Kasi pagdating natin kay region na malapit kay t, okay, beyond 2, between 2 and t, wala na tayong mamumultiply na signal. 'Di ba? A times 0 is 0, so hindi na natin siya bibilangin. Ang bibilangin lang natin is yung may overlap. So that's 2 and t minus 1. Okay, with the amplitude, rather with the amplitude of a squared. Naintindihan po? Okay, so yan, we have here our a squared. So again, for the formula of the area, so that is a squared times 2 minus t minus 1. Okay, so let's simplify. Okay, so we have 2 minus t plus 1. So we have a squared times 3 minus. Okay, so this is the area for this part, no? Ito dito sa last one. Okay, so we have covered everything, okay, as we move t. So, sir, bakit hindi ka naglagay ng t before 0? Kasi there will be no overlap at all. No, so, kapag walang overlap, wala kang mamumultiply, therefore, your signal is 0. Ito yung tinatawag natin ng mga 0 values, okay, in convolution. Okay, so, let's summarize the answers. No, so first we have our y of t. Okay, so this is our output. So we have y of t. Okay, so let's indicate the first value. Okay, so we have our signal a squared t when t is ano between 1 and 0. Okay, so 0. Ayan. Okay, so this is our first condition. Next condition, so we have our a squared. Okay, so we have this a squared is uh, between 2 and 1. Okay, so we have, oops, ayan. Then yung last part is we have a squared 3 minus t. Okay, this is when t is greater than 2. Ayan. And 0 otherwise. So this piecewise function, y of t, ayan, okay, is the result of the convolution of this signal. Okay, x of t and h of t. Now, syempre hindi naman dito natatapos. No? Let's graph this new piecewise function. Okay, so let's graph. Okay, so oops. Okay, then we have this one. Ayan. Okay, so let's graph the signal. So, between 0 and 1, sorry about that. Okay, between 0 and 1, sabi no, we have, sorry, wait lang. Okay, between 0 and 1, our value is a squared t, meaning nakascale yung signal natin, no? So, we start with 0, of course, di ba? So, dito yan, no? So, let's have here. Okay, then, let's say, when t is equal to 1, we have a squared, no? I-fix natin si a squared. Okay, so, lagay natin dito si amplitude na a squared. So, at 1, okay, we have a squared. So, let's say between, okay, let's say 0.5. So, when t is equal to 0.5, so that's a squared times 0.5. So, that's a squared over 2. So, kalahati. Ayan. And so on and so forth. So, pag ginraph natin yan, ayan, straight line. Okay, so that's between 0 and 1. Now, let's go to 1 and 2. So, a squared is constant. Hindi siya nagbabago between 1 and 2. So, straight vertical line lang. No? So, ayan. That defines a squared. A squared. Ayan. Okay, then, pagdating natin kay 2b yan. Okay, so pagdating natin kay 2b yan, so mag-i-scale na yan. So, let's say, for example, we have 3, let's say 2.5 muna. No? So, 2.5, 3 minus 2.5, so that's 0.5, a squared times 0.5 is a squared over 2. No? So, mangangalahati yung signal natin. No? So, let's say kay 3. Ayan, kay 3. So, when t is equal to 3, 3 minus 3 is 0. So, a squared times 0 is 0. Okay, then, let's say kay 4. No? Palilagay natin sa 4. Sige, consider natin si 4. So, when 4, so we have 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So, a squared. So, that's negative a squared. No? So, pupunta siya pababa. So this goes infinitely kasi hindi naman natatapos yung signal natin, no? I mean, yung condition ng signal natin hindi natatapos. So habang habang gumagala, habang nagtutuloy yung time natin to beyond, okay, bumababa ng bumababa yung value ng signal. Okay, so this is roughly at negative t squared. Okay, K4. Tapos, syempre, otherwise, meaning the time before 0, so that is 0. So, we can put, ayan, okay, this graph, okay, as the result of the convolution of the two rectangular pulses. Ayan. Okay, so we have our result, y of t is equal to a squared t when t is between 0 and 1, a squared when between 1 and 2. Then we have a squared times 3 minus t when t is greater than 2 and 0 otherwise. Okay, so that's how we perform graphical convolution. Okay, so again, here are the steps, no? So yan, you can take screenshot or whatsoever para medyo madali ninyong tandaan. Okay, so let's go to our second example. So for our second example, okay, so we have here, no? So we have two given signals. So each of t, okay, is t plus 2 when between negative 2t and 0. Then we have 2 between 0 and 2 and 0 otherwise. No? So first, let's graph the signal. So ayan. Okay, so ito yung ating h of t. Okay, first, between negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Ayan. Okay, so sabi, no, the signal is t plus 2. So let's say, let's substitute, no? So when negative 2, t negative 2 plus 2, so that's 0. Okay, then we have, ang tawag dito, zeros, 0, t is equal to 0, so 0 plus 2, so that's positive 2. So let's say this is negative 1, negative 2. Positive 1, positive 2. So nandito yan. So 2, 1. Ayan, okay. Then let's say negative 1. So negative 2, negative 1 plus 2, so that's positive 1. Ayan. So ganito yung itsura ng signal natin. Ayan. Okay? So next, no, so we have here fixed value of 2. So between 0 and 2. So meaning straight line lang yung signal natin dito. Okay, then pagdating natin kay 2 beyond, okay, so magsi-0 na yan. Ayan. Okay? Ayan. Then, okay, this is our h of t. Okay, h of tau kasi magpapalit na tayo ng time domain. So this is tau. Okay, now let's plot the second signal. So our second signal is a unit step function. X of t is equal to u of t. So, ayan. Pwede nating palitan. Okay, so ayan. So let's graph. Okay, so remember that u of t, okay, di ba? The signal is 1 when t is greater than, less than pala to. Okay, when t is greater than or equal to 0 and 0 otherwise. Okay, when t is less than 0. Okay, so ayan. Okay, so at 0, okay, so undefined yung value natin for 0 but the moment it escapes 0, so magkuha na yun. So assuming na very 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 small yung ano natin, difference. Ayan, so this is 1, let's say. Ayan. Ayan. So yan yung dalawang signal natin. So this is our x of tau. Ayan. So which is also u of tau or u of t. Okay, so game, no? So let's start the convolution. Okay, so we have first, let's graph. So literal na puro graphing tayo dito mga kapatid, ha? Puro drawing. Ayan. Okay, so then we have this. Ayan. Okay, so first, no, so let's draw the original signal. So we have, kapila natin, ano, -2, -1, 0, 1, then 2. Okay, let's say this is 2. Okay, so this is our x of t. By the way, the one that we're going to use as our t minus tau is the unit step function kasi siya yung pinakamadali, no? If flip mo lang, susok-usok mo lang, no? Compared dito sa isa. Okay, so let's do pick value of t along the first part of the piecewise function between -2 and 0. Okay, so let's say this is t. Okay, so for t, okay, remember that this is 2. Okay, our unit step function has an amplitude of 1. No? So, nandito lang siya sa may kalahati. Let's say this one. Ayan. So, if this is 1, okay, so syempre, di ba, folded, so, mag-flip, okay, instead of going to positive infinity, it will go from negative infinity to 0, but meron din tayong time shifting of t. So, therefore, we have this graph. Yan. Okay, so, kung mapapasin na natin, ano, so in this overlap, let's multiply the signal and get the area. Okay, remember that unit step functions has an amplitude of 1. So meaning anything multiplied to the unit step function is equal to the original function. So let's take a look at the shape, no? Anong klaseng shape yung nakuha natin dito, no? So most likely we're getting a triangle. No? So remember that the formula for the area of the triangle, okay, so that is 1/2 base times height. No? So yun yung sa triangle natin. Okay, so let's use this formula, no? So ano ang itsura ng graph natin diyan? So between -2 and t, okay, so we are getting a triangular signal. Yeah. Okay, so let's get the area. So we have our area. So the amplitude here is, remember that the amplitude, okay, is defined by the piecewise function t plus 2. So we have here t plus 2, diba, as our amplitude. Okay, so game, no? So we have 1/2. Dito na lang sa gilid. 1/2 base. So base is t minus -2. Okay, times height. So height is t plus 2. So t minus -2, so that is t plus 2. T plus 2. So this is in the form of 1/2 t squared plus 4t plus 4. Okay, then distribute lang natin. So we have 1/2 t squared plus 2t plus. So this is the amplitude, okay, of the area, okay, na na-cover nung first step natin sa convolution. Okay, next, no, so let's go to the second part between 0 and 2. Yan. So between 0 and 2, so assume na lang natin na diretso yan. Ayan, so we have -2, 0, -2, 1, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So, again, maintain natin yung original signal. Okay, then ang t natin nandito na. Okay, let's say nandito, somewhere between 0 and 2. Okay, so again, still have an amplitude of 1. Ayan. Okay, so remember that this is 1, this is 1, this is 2, no, with the amplitude. Now, the entire overlaps, no, so itong part na to na yon. So kung mapapansin natin, no, anong klaseng shape yan, no? So roughly a trapezoid, but medyo mahirap kunin yung area ng trapezoid. So let's just break down, okay, yung overlaps natin. Ano? First, the triangle, the entire triangle, okay, ito, is already part of the overlap. No, kanina kasi hindi yung buong triangle ang part ng overlap. Kaya we have tawag dito, our height of t plus 2 kasi nagbabago pa yung value ng t. But remember, in this case, so this is between 0 and negative 2, meaning the maximum height, okay, that the triangle will reach is the 2 amplitude, or rather the amplitude of 2, no, based from the given. Now, dito tayo magkakaroon ng additional shape, no? So, beyond 0 but before 2. No, let's say nandito. Okay. So, with the amplitude of 2, okay, so we have a triangle plus a rectangle. So, we have 1/2. So, what's the amplitude? No? So, base times height. So, height is 2. So, base is also 2. So, cancel. So, this is 2 plus, okay, this one. So, still as an amplitude of 2, but the base is t. Tama, kasi nagbabago pa between 0 and 2 eh. Kaya t pa lang yung gagamitin natin. Hindi pa kasi definite yung hangganan ng signal natin. Okay, so with this, no, so we have 2 plus 2 t, or simply this is 2 times t plus 1. Yan. So this is the area, okay, of this covered region. Okay, based on the behavior, rather the adjustments of the value of t. Okay, now let's go to the last part. No, so beyond 2. So for beyond 2, yan. So for beyond 2, let's say we have negative 2. Hindi ko nalalagay si 1 kasi hindi naman significant si 1. Ano? So si negative 2, 0, and 2 lang. Okay, again, our t is somewhere here, let's say. No, hindi natin alam kung ano value ng t, basta it's beyond 2. Okay, so the original signal is the same. So with the we have here an amplitude of 2, and the folded unit step function, okay, now goes here, covering the entire signal. Regardless on the value of t, it covers the entire signal. Again, this has only the amplitude of 1. So when we multiply, okay, we cover the entire original signal. So this is negative 2, 0, and this is positive 2. Now, how many shapes do we have? So we still have 2. No? So we have the base and the height. However, rather the triangle and the rectangle. However, we now have definite boundaries. No? So for the triangle, so ganun pa rin, between 0 and negative 2. So that's 1/2 base. Okay, so that's positive 2 times height. That's still positive 2. Okay, plus, okay, we have 2 and 2. So, cancel. Also, we have 2 plus 4, or simply this is equal to 6. Okay, so we now have all the values of the products. Okay, now we can identify what is our convolved signal. Y of t is equal to first. Okay, so sabi dito, no, we have here 1/2 t squared plus 2t plus 2. Okay, when t is between 0 and negative 2. So we have negative 2, t, then 0. Okay? So, siya yung nagde-define, no, ng first part. Ito. Then we have our second part, no? So we have 2t plus 1 when t is between 0 and positive. Okay, when t is between 0 and positive 2, we use the amplitude of 2t plus 1. Then, okay, we use 6 when t is greater than 2 and 0 otherwise. Yan. So, this is our piecewise convolved signal. Y of t is equal to this one. Now, let's graph. No? Let's of course, no, kaya nga siya tinawag na graphical convolution. Kung hindi natin i-graph to, wala rin. Okay? So, we have this one. Okay, so first, no? So, between negative 2, 0, and positive 2. So, again, before 0, so that's, before negative 2 rather, that is 0, until negative 2. Okay, between negative 2 and 0, we have a quadratic equation, no? So, this has a graph of a parabola, no? So, until the value of positive 2, no? So, somewhere, let's say, ito yung positive 2 natin. Bakit siya hanggang dyan lang? Let's substitute. No, so, we start with 0. Bakit when we substitute negative 2? So, that is negative 2 squared. So, that is 4 divided by 2 minus uh, minus 2 times negative 2. So, that's negative 4 plus 2. So, that is 2 minus 4 plus 2. So, that is 0. Okay? But when t is equal to 0, so substitute natin. So, 1 half times 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 2, that's equal to positive 2. Okay, however, since this is t squared, so parabolic yung itsura natin. Yan. Okay, so that is positive 2. Now, let's go to between 0 and 2. So, when t is equal to, let's say, 0.5, no? Kapag 0 kasi 2 pa rin yung value niya. Let's say 0.5, no? So, we have 0.5 plus 1, so that's 1.5 times 2, so that's 3, roughly 3. Now, the maximum value when 2, so we have 2 plus 1, so that is 3 times 2, so that is 6. Let's say this is 6. Okay? So, mangyayari, the graph is linear, straight. No? So, kapag kinuha mo si 1 kasi, ang makukuha mong value is 4. No? So, that's between between 6 and 2. No? So, but extra lang naman yan. So, no need to remove that one. Okay, now, let's go to beyond 2. So, sabi na beyond 2, we have value of 6. So, fix yun, BC level. Okay, so we have a straight line. Ayan. Okay, so this is the convolved signal y of t. Ayan. Okay, so I hope this is very clear. No? So, sana nasundan ninyo. Okay, if hindi naman, you can pause and do little rewinds. Okay, para mas magets nyo. Okay, now let's go to the last example. Sabi dito, no, so we have two signals, no? So a rectangular pulse with the amplitude of 1 and a half sinusoid defined by the function sine of pi t. Okay, so we are asked to find what is the convolution of x of t and y of t. Now, okay, so let's try to decide first what will take the position of t minus tau. So in this case, mas madali sa rectangular pulse kaysa kay half sinusoid, no? So let's take the half sinusoid as our fixed value. So, this is tau. So, syempre, ito ay magiging tau. Ito ay magiging tau. Okay, but however, we are going to use this as y of, sorry, yung kabila pala ang y of t minus tau. So, this is tau. So, this is also tau. But this is going to be x of t minus tau. Okay, so, we have base of 1. So, madali lang yan. Okay, so game, no? So, first, ang magiging fixed signal natin dito is the half sinusoid. In case you are wondering. Okay, so, okay, no? So, first, no? So, again, our half sinusoid between 0 and 1 with the maximum value of 1. Ayan, ganyan, no? So, apologies for my obscure drawing. Ayan, so, let's select a value of t, no? So, since dalawa lang naman ng values natin, yung critical points natin dito between 0 and 1, okay, and this function is defined by the function of sine pi of tau, sine pi of tau na. So, this is already in tau, remember? Okay, so, game, no? So, let's select a value between 0 and 1. Say, let's say this is t. Okay, so remember that our rectangular pulse has also an amplitude of 1. So, we're going to use this. Ayan. Okay, then we have, let's say, this is t minus 1. Again, derived from, okay, let's define the starting and the ending value. So, we have t minus tau is equal to 0. So, t is equal to tau. Then we have t minus tau is equal to 1. So we have tau is equal to t minus 1. Ayan. So we are going to use t minus 1 in this case. Okay? So, Okay, so let's check the amplitude. No? So wherever you put the signal, okay, wherever you put the signal, ang overlap natin is always between 0 and t. Okay, so let's say we have here our half sinusoid, pero let's say nakakat. Okay, so this is 0 and this is t. However, it does not affect the definition of the function. Remember that the function is defined by sine pi of tau. Tama po ba? Okay, so sine pi of tau. If we multiply this by 1, no, retain pa rin si sine pi of tau. So how do we get the area, okay, under a curve? Sige nga, if you can remember, how do we get the area under a curve? Of course, we're going to use the very infamous integral. Diba? So the integral, okay, of sine pi of tau d tau, okay, so between 0 and t. Tama po ba? Okay, between 0 and t. Bakit between 0 and t? Kasi yun lang naman yung valid na nag-overlap eh. Diba? Kaya between 0 and t lang yung integral natin. So again, what's the integral of sine pi tau d tau? So this is equivalent to 1 over pi. Okay, so that's negative cosine of pi tau evaluated from 0 to t. Okay, so let's substitute. So we have negative 1 over pi. Okay, so upper value muna. So we have cosine of pi t. Okay, minus cosine of 0. Yan. So cosine of 0 is 1. Diba? Alam na natin yan. So therefore, the area under this curve, okay, is equal to negative 1 over pi, okay, multiplied to cosine pi t. Ayan. Yan. Okay, so this is the formula for this one. Okay, or rather the area, okay, of this one. Now, let's move our t beyond 1. No? So, i-move natin beyond 1, let's say. Oops. I forgot. No, para malinis yung graph natin. Ayan. Okay. So, game, let's regraph the original signal between 0 and 1. Of course, maintaining the amplitude of 1. Okay. So, beyond, a bit beyond 1, no? So, let's say we place our t here. So, definitely, our second end or the other end is here. Ayan. So, between now, the overlaps, okay, is on the right side. No, magbabago lang alin, of course, yung boundaries natin. So, in this case, still maintained or rather still defined by our sine pi of tau. Okay, however, the boundaries is between between t minus 1 and positive 1. Okay, so dyan ngayon, papasok yung integral natin. So we have here the integral of t minus 1 and 1 of sine pi of tau d tau. Okay, so that's how we get the area. Okay, so let's solve this integral. So this is 1 over pi of negative cosine of pi tau. Okay, evaluated from t minus 1 and okay, so we have 1 over pi. Okay, so This is cosine of pi. Then we have plus. No? Kasi hindi ko tinake out si negative. Dito kasi kanina tinake out si negative kaya siya naging minus. No? So this case, so we have cosine of pi t minus 1. Okay? So, cosine pi, so definitely this is equal to negative 1. So, negative times negative is, this will become positive. So, we have 1 over pi. So, we have 1. Next, plus. So, we have cosine. So, this will become pi t minus pi. But we cannot settle for this answer kasi 'di ba medyo obscure or medyo vague yung definition ng pi t minus pi natin. So we're going to apply identities. So for this one, so we have, remember, si cosine A plus minus B, 'di ba? Si cos cosine sin. So we have cos A, cos B, minus plus, baligtad. So we have sin A, sin B. So ano ang A and B natin? So A is pi t, B is pi, no? So let's define. So we have cosine of pi t. So this is how we simplify, ha. Cosine of pi. Okay, plus kasi minus yung operation between sin pi t and sin pi. Now, okay, dito makukuha na natin yung simplified answer. Bakit? We know that cosine pi, this is equal to negative 1. Tama po ba? Okay. Then we have sin pi, this is equal to 0. Meaning this entire term, okay, this entire term is just equal to 0. Then we have negative 1. So therefore, what is our answer? So we have 1 over pi, 1 minus cosine of pi t. Yan. Okay, so this is the value of the function when t is greater than 1. So let's plot the signal. No? So we have y of t, this is equal to, first condition, negative 1 over pi cosine pi of t, cosine pi t. Okay, this is when t is between 0 and 1. Okay, then we have 1 over pi 1 minus cosine pi of t, pi t. Ayan. Okay, so this is when t is greater than 1 naman. Yeah, is greater than 1. Okay, so then we have 0, of course, no, yung 0 otherwise natin. Ayan. Okay, so let's dito, try to graph. Try natin i-graph. No, try natin i-graph. Wala namang mawawala ko ito. Try natin. Okay, so ayan. Okay? So, first, for 0 going 1. No? So, when t is 0, so, syempre alam natin, before 0, patay yung signal. Of course, di ba? But, the moment it reaches 0, so let's substitute. No? So, t is equal to 0. So, that's cosine of 0. Cosine of 0 is 1. So, negative 1 over pi. So, nasaan siya? Nasa baba. So, let's say this is negative 1 over pi. Ito. Lagyan natin isin natin yung graph. Sige, lagyan natin ng, oops, sorry. Isin natin yung graph. Isin natin. Tapos, another 1. Yan. Okay, so let's try to define. No? So let's say this is 1 over pi. Let's say this is negative 1 over pi. Again, at time 0, no? Or rather, before 0, wala tayong value. So this is 0. Okay, then, so before, between 0 and 1, let's try to substitute, no? We know that the behavior of a cosine function is sinusoidal din. No, so, but, okay, so substitute natin also when t is equal to 0, cosine of 0, so that's cosine 0 is 1. So we have negative 1 over pi. Nandito siya. Okay? Yeah. Okay, let's go to 1 muna. No? So, substitute natin, cosine pi is negative 1. Okay, then, negative 1 times negative 1 over pi. So, dito yan. Okay? Then, since this is a sinusoidal function, no, alam natin, ang itsura ng sinusoidal function is this. Yan. Ganyan po. Okay? Then, let's go to beyond 1. No? So, kapag beyond 1, okay, so let's say 2 pi, no? So, or pi over 2. So, let's say, sorry, di pala pwede. So, 3 pi over 2, let's say 3 pi over 2. Cosine 3 pi over 2, so that is negative, sorry, 3 pi over 2 is 0. Okay, so, kapag 1.5, let's say this is 2. So, this is 1.5, tama? So, magsi-0 siya, so nandito yon. Okay, but for 2, okay, kapag 2 naman, okay, so let's substitute now. So 2 pi, cosine 2 pi, so that is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so we have 0 for the entire, dito, yung beyond. No? So, yeah. So let's double check, ano? So I'm not quite sure. Pero let's double check it. Okay. Let me just open the calculator. Okay, so we have here our calculator na. So let's plot our value muna, our function muna. So that's 1 over pi. Okay. Then we have 1 minus cosine of pi. Oh, sorry. Let's first change to radian, of course. So pi x, kasi we are going to simulate sa different values of x. So calc lang muna natin when x is 1.5. Okay, so we di pala siya 0, we have a certain value. So yan naman na natin. 3 pi over 2. So, sorry. So, alpha, ayan. So, radian na tayo, no? So, we have, let's try to calculate 2. So, that's 0, tama? Okay, so, kapag ka 3, okay, so meron na tayong certain value. So, we have, let's say, yeah, 3 over 2. So that's 0.31. Wait lang. Let me just check si 1 over pi. Kung ano value ng 1 over pi. Okay. So 1 over pi is roughly, tama pala. Ayan. So let's divide nga natin dun sa kanina. Sorry. Sige. 1 over pi. So let's store. Focus kayo dun sa calculator, no? So, ayan. So let's ayan, ito. So calc 3 over 2. So divide natin kay A. Let's see if yeah, we're getting 1. So we have here. Okay. So mali pala yung mental ko kanina. Ayan. Then we have 2. Okay, kapag ka 2.5, let's say. So calc 2.5 is 5 over 2. So again, dito ulit. Okay. Then, let's say, ano nga, 3. Last say 3. Maybe last say 3. So, this is divided by alpha. Let's see. 2. No, so, times 2. Tama ba ako na analysis? Okay, sige. Wait lang. So, yeah. I think it goes above. No, way above. Okay, so, try lang natin si 1.25 na. So, calc 1.25. So, it goes beyond, if I'm not mistaken, no? So, sige nga, let's calc 1.0001. Okay, it jumps. Okay, I get it. Okay, so, kita na natin yung behavior. Oops, sorry. So, what happens is, based from the values, okay, so nagkakaroon tayo ng jump, okay, ng pag-double nung, ano natin, nung value natin. So, this will become, no, so let's say we have here 2 over pi. Okay, so what happens is at 1, okay, after 1, rather, at the instant it goes beyond 1, aangat siya ng sobra. Ayan, it is very obvious naman. So, tingnan mo, divide natin by alpha, roughly, that's 2. Okay, so, mangyayari, so dito, then magsa-sinusoid ulit siya. Oops. Yan. Okay, so this is the behavior of the convolution, okay, of a square pulse and a half sinusoid. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something. So, this is the last example for graphical convolution. So, I hope you guys learned something. Also, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so I can answer them as soon as possible. Thank you very much and God bless.